2024 has some really crazy games coming out, and one of the games is called Palworld. Now, relatively before today, we really didn't know the release date of the game, but now we do, and I'm going to tell you guys all about it. But the first thing you probably want to know is what the heck is Palworld? Because this game might not be up your radar. If you haven't seen any trailers, you're probably like, don't even know what this game is. But I want to share some light on this game because it does look pretty interesting. So what is it? It's pretty much a brand new multiplayer open world survival crafting game that has PvP and PvE involved. Think of it as Pokemon meets shooter, right? If you think about that, that's pretty much what Palworld is. You're going to be able to use guns. And one thing we love in this channel is first-person shooters, third-person shooters, and that's why we're talking about this game. So what exactly is going on? So basically, you're going to be put into an open world where your job is to capture these creatures known as pals. Now, there's going to be over 100 pals, and more will be added as the game gets released. And that has us pretty excited. Now, before we talk even more further about the game, what could you expect, how does it work, and all that good stuff, let's talk about the release date. Because as of yesterday, we didn't know the release date, but now we do. So this game goes live January the 19th on Steam via Early Access. Now, the great thing about that is if you have Xbox Game Pass, you will be able to play the game on release of Early Access as well. So for all of you Game Pass users out there, Palworld, you'll be able to play it. If you have Steam, you'll be able to play it. So do keep in mind that this is going to be available for both of you guys at the same time, January the 19th. So if you want to get the Early Access, I'll leave a link down below to the Steam page. If you have Game Pass, don't forget to download it. Now, the game is being made by a company called Pocket Pair, which is a Japanese company that has made some really good games. The great thing I do want to let you guys know, for all you single players out there, the game will be able to be played offline if you want to, but the gist of the game is, of course, being able to play on multiplayer, so you could go ahead and, do that PvP encounter if you want. Just imagine you versus a couple other people with a bunch of pals fighting. I mean, it sounds pretty chaotic. And that's definitely what I'm into now. I did want to mention once again that the PvP option for the game won't be available via Early Access, so do keep that in mind. Now, this is not a free-to-play game. You're going to have to buy this. So my suggestion is just get a Game Pass and just play the game via the Game Pass. I mean, it's the best way to go about it. Okay, so with that information out of the way, now let's talk about the main important thing about the game, and that is the pals. So pals are going to be the main concept of your game. Think of them like Pokemon, if this is the first time you ever hear about this game. So they're going to be creatures that are found within the game that you will be able to tame and capture either willingly or unwillingly. Now, the pals are going to be crucial not only for your survival, but they're going to be crucial for you to fight, because some pals will be able to use weapons and help you survive throughout the game. Now, in addition to that, you'll be able to farm, breed them pals, so you're able to get one pal and another pal and have a little baby. You'll be able to fight. You'll be able to have them work in factories so they could produce weapons and guns for you. You have them work on your farm to be able to get you food, and you'll be able to have them work with water to be able to produce water. Now, it's extremely important that you constantly keep feeding these pals and giving them, water, giving them food, because if you don't feed them, if you don't give them water, they are going to pretty much die. And as you see here, guys, on the demo trailer, you'll see that there's a big pile of dead pals because people haven't fed them. So you want to make sure you're constantly feeding them and not overworking them. In addition to that, you guys, you'll be able to sell them and you'll be able to convert them into food. So you'll be able to do a whole set of assortment with these pals, but those are like the main things you're able to do. So whenever you see a pal, you're probably going to wonder, how do I go ahead about capturing them? Because there are going to be some pals that are going to be really friendly to you, and that will just automatically allow you to capture them. Now, there are going to be some pals that are pretty aggressive and will attack you once you approach them. So it's going to be really important that you get your gun ready, and you're going to need to shoot them and lower their defense, lower their health, and then capture them with, you're probably wondering, Laser, how do we capture them? Well, in the game, there's a thing called Pal Spheres. Now, there's a total of 4 different spheres in the game. There's a Pal Sphere, which is a blue one. There's the Mega Sphere, which is a green one. There's a Hyper Sphere, which is a red one. And there's a Legendary Sphere, which is a purple one. Now, I don't know what each of them represent as far as rarities is concerned, but I'm assuming that the higher tier the Pal is, that sphere is gonna one that's gonna allow you to capture that particular pal. All right, so now that you know how to capture them, you're probably wondering, Laser, what is the purpose of getting the pals? Can I just go on a killing spree and kill every single pal I see in my vicinity? Well, the first thing you want to know is you can't really kill a pal because that's technically illegal in this open world that you live in. The developer said that if the player character kills a pal and is witnessed by an NPC, a bounty will be placed on the player's character, who then will be pursued as a criminal. But there are no consequences if a player character manages to kill a pal without being witnessed. So basically, whenever you decide to kill a pal, you got to watch your surroundings. You got to make sure no one's there peeping you, like no NPCs looking at you, or else you're going to get a bounty placed on your head and you will become a criminal in the pal. So to keep that in mind. Now, the other main important thing that you want to make sure you capture this pals is because of the breathing. The breathing aspect is really good, which we talked a little bit about earlier. And the reason why this is such a really good feature is because you're able to breathe one pal with another pal, and when you mix them, it creates a rare species that is stronger than the pals that you first breathed with. So theoretically speaking, let's say you have this pal that has fire damage and you have this other pal that has electrical damage, and you mix them together, you're going to get a really crazy combo. Now, on top of that, there's also activities that you're only able to do with certain pals that are going to help you traverse and move around the world better. So, for example, there's a couple pals that you're going to be able to mount and travel around the world. There's also some pals that are going to allow you to fly or swim as well. So, for example, if you need to get to a higher mountain, you could put out your pal and have fly around. If you need to go in the water, you could hop on the pal and swim around. There's also pals that are going to help you, and they're going to be designated to harvest rare materials, like for example rocks, which only some pals are able to break because they have a pickaxe. So you're going to want to make sure that you're constantly keeping an eye out for each rarity of pal that's available for doing certain activities within the game. And of course, harvesting is going to be a very crucial point because that's going to allow you to build better stuff as you progress throughout the game. Now, like I mentioned earlier, another important part about the game is the activities you're able to do within your base. So in your base, you're going to be able to build, you're going to be able to craft, you're going to be able to farm, and you're going to need the help of pals to do this, because there's going to be pals that are going to help you build, there's going to be pals that are going to help you craft, there's going to be pals that are going to help you farming, and farming is where it gets a little bit crazy because there's pals for each individual thing. So you want to sow seeds, you'll have a pal for that. If you want to do water plants, you need to have a pal for that. And if you want to harvest plants, you're going to need, equipment and pals to do that. Now, if that wasn't enough, guys, the pals also come with elemental types. And these are going to be extremely important because they're going to benefit you in a lot of ways. So you have the following elements. You have fire, you have electricity, dragon, grass, natural, earth, water, and did I mention dark? And those are going to be the main elements for the game. And each individual element will give you a specific benefit. For example, pals that have fire or flame, they're going to be able to heat campfires, cook pots, and do industrial ovens. For example, pals that have electricity can power on generators. Pals that have the water element are going to be able to do water, like water plants. And the great thing about this is that you could make a couple pals that are going to allow you to mass produce products. For example, if you want to mass produce gear, mass produce weapons, mass produce armor and items, you'll be able to do that. But one of the most important things, guys, and the thing that you really need to focus on when you're building your base is the defensive pals, because defensive pals will be used to defend your base. Now, you're probably wondering, what am I going to be defending my base of, So the main thing to keep in mind here, there are NPCs that are considered enemies, and they're also going to be PvP raids. Now, the base raids, I'm assuming, will happen once they enable PvP, unless there are going to be a ton of pals or enemy pals that are going to be raiding your base. I believe this is where the defensive pals are going to come into play, because if your base is not heavily fortified, you could just get overrun by an enemy if your base is not, has no defensive pals available. Now, the great thing about this, guys, is that there are multiple pal variants available in the game. You have your fusion pals, which we mentioned earlier, and these are going to be the ones that are going to allow you to breathe. So as we talked about breathing, there's going to be the lucky pals. Now, these are going to be shiny little variants of pals that are going to enhance your luck factor. And then there's going to be alpha pals, which are considered the bosses in the game. And these are going to be super huge pal variants with weird name titles that you can capture, but are going to be very difficult to capture. Like I said, there are over 100 pals currently now in the early access, so pretty crazy the variety of pals we're going to be able to discover within the world. Now, another crazy thing about the pals is that you're going to be able to upgrade your pals. So if your pal is like a level 1, you're basically going to need to find other pals that are similar and collect their souls, and then go to the upgrade section of the game and upgrade your pal to a different level. Of course, the higher the level, the more damage they do. Now, one thing to note, if you decide to take your pal on a journey with you, and if he dies in combat, you will automatically lose him forever. So you got to make sure that when you take your pal with you, that you are sure that he's going to be able to survive. So on top of all of this, guys, you're also going to be able to craft items. You'll be able to craft weapons, gears, and schematics that are going to make your journey and your experience in Palworld that more enjoyable. So there's going to be a lot of capturing, a lot of hunting with your pals, but there also is going to be a lot of danger that you're going to be exposed to, and being able to be heavily fortified and have the right weapon and gear is going to be crucial. That's why I recommend you watch this video that's popping up right now on the screen, going over the crafting and all the items you're going to need for Palworld. So if you guys are liking our content and want to see more Palworld content, make sure you guys drop a comment, drop a like, and I will catch you guys on the next video.